Hello once again. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Anthony Lushola Odiande, and today we are talking about the streaming menace or structure or whatever it is. But we're talking about the emergence of streaming platforms in the Nigeria entertainment scene, the rise and the seeming demise of it, everything. I'd like to first of all thank our collaborators and partners for Couture for, adorning me with this Olaposh World for where I'm shooting from, and of course our partner studios, Pod Edit. Now let's just dive right into it. Now, by the late 90s, videos and DVDs were already being phased out, and they had issues like distribution because not all the movies were getting to all the places that they needed to get to on time. And before they got there, in fact, there were some states that didn't even have the original CDs. What they were just getting was the pirated CDs. Now there's another episode coming soon on that, so please watch out where we dissect all of that. Now, but that was a problem. Funding was a problem, piracy was a problem, financing was a problem, the quality of the movie was another problem. So because there was no quality, I like to say that the producers did focus a lot on very good stories, but that is by the way. Now, in the year 2010, Jason Njoku and his partner did started Iroko TV, which was an amazing idea at the time, and the goal was to become the Netflix of that era. So let us replicate a Netflix in Nigeria for Nigerians. That meant that they needed to solve the challenges that were in Nigeria at that time, vis-a-vis payment platforms or easy payment, the availability of those movies. Also, there was the data cost, high data cost, and those were some of the things they had to grapple with. And they had very smart solutions for them. Have kiosks in walking distances or strolling distances from, wherever people lived. And this was, of course, a lot of them in Lagos and in other parts of the country, but mostly in this part. And it was very easy. Go there, you could even pay for your subscription there. You could get to download movies for data free. So which means that entertainment was brought to you where you didn't have to spend a lot of data. Now, also talking about the quality of the show, of course, Jason's wife, Remi Njoku, who is an amazing director, a master storyteller, and a fantastic actress, did make sure also, I'd like to say, that the content on Iroko TV were good. Content like Husbands of Lagos, which was one of my favorites, by the way, Picture Perfect, and all those others. Now, they didn't just do original content. They also did buy licensed movies, buy movies or buy licensed to movies, to be put on the platform for the general entertainment. And it was going on well. The model worked at the time. But one thing they didn't capitalize on, or they didn't see coming, was the quick revolution of the space. And by the time Netflix came into Africa in 2015, which is no short than 5 years later, and decided to make it available, that began to change the game. But then, Iroko still had an upper hand because they still had a lot of advantage. When Netflix Nigeria came in 2020, was a total game changer, and they needed to, first of all, let Nigerians know that they were here for Nigerians. And one of the very good moves they did was to buy the rights to Genevieve's Lionheart, which was history making at that time, the amount at which they bought it, and the fact that a Nigerian movie can be of Netflix standard. That was all they needed to change the game, because producers knew that they needed to sit up properly and do quality movies if they wanted Netflix, or if they wanted a Netflix to be interested in their works. Now, also, it was also important to know that by this time the competition was getting fierce. Netflix had come in, Afri TV, and a whole lot of other TV platforms had come in at this point. So the competition was getting fierce. Now, these companies or these other platforms already had international presence. So which means it was very easy now to get Nigerian content to the international audience. And that really works very well, because not too long after, by the 2020s, Japa became a thing, especially after COVID. Oh yes, COVID did help as well. Japa was a thing, and there were a lot of Nigerians in diaspora. So which meant that naturally, Netflix was their go-to. Now, Iroko TV, now that I think of it, didn't quickly adapt to that change and didn't quickly, cater to that audience. So by the time Iroko TV tried to catch up, they didn't even do it immediately. I think what they did was first of all go to DSTV, which was another very good move if you ask me. But then at that point on now, people are even leaving that platform and are going to other streaming services. Now, streaming is a big thing, and we realized it when the big boys came to play on our land. I mean, they just showed us what the possibilities were. Now, part of the problems that happened was still us as a people. Let me just put it that way so that I am not naming names or pointing fingers at any producers or actor or behind the scenes person. Let's just say what the problem is and not point out at people. Now, people were actually going to give it key, and which was a trend that started, and which didn't help other producers or other people who didn't give them enough chance. I mean, if you have the key to this door, let other people to enter. They won't kick you out if you know what you are doing, quite honestly. So yes, there was that, and there was corruption. There was serious corruption. Budget inflation. I mean, yes, you could pad the budget a little bit and everything, but that wasn't even the main problem. A producer will be giving money to shoot a movie, and he'll first of all go get a house or go get a car or something, sort himself out, and then now use about 20 to 40% of the original budget has been given to shoot the movie. And these things will show. These things will definitely show in the quality. And not forgetting that these people aren't dumb. These people have been in the movie for years. They know when certain things are not adding up. And they tried to actually cop that, and they decided to be negotiating with the actors or the directors or the crew people themselves. And do you know what our people now did? They now went to the back and tell the people, for example, a producer will tell an actor that you're going to negotiate with Netflix or Prime or any of these big guys. They are going to give you X amount. And when they give you that amount, know that X percentage of that money they're giving you is my own. You're bringing it back to me. It's either you agree to that or you're not going to get the movie. I mean, such practices. Now, it was a whole thing when these platforms left. Prime was the first to leave, and then Netflix also decided, nah, enough long suffering. We also have to leave. And part of the reasons they did give was the number of subscribers. The password sharing wasn't also helping. I mean, I know that there were people who their principal Netflix landlord, as it were, or Prime Video landlord wasn't even on the continent of Africa. Yes, so that meant that they weren't generating enough funds in Nigeria to be able to sustain Nigerian movies and everything. The funny thing is that they left Nigeria officially today. They went to India the following day. Yes. It's not a funny situation, but the whole thing was just very amusing to me. They left Nigeria today and they went to India the following day, pledging so much more, in billions of dollars to develop Bollywood. By the way, by sheer activity and production, Nollywood is actually larger than Bollywood. Not by quality, but by sheer activity and production. Now, by this time when all of this was happening, some other unlikely brands had also jumped to the queue. One of the very first people to do this would be Dani TV by Guarantee Trust Bank. Now, there is another video where we talk about these brands and the streaming platforms and what they have done to revolutionize streaming, so stay tuned to that. But by this time, these guys also started having not just the YouTube channels to show their content, but their own app. And of course, there was also Circus TV, and a host of them. Accelerate TV has also launched the app that is downloadable on all your devices, including your smart TV, where you can get to watch very quality TV. So there are more of this. Now, with streaming platforms and their demands, you now begin to ask yourself, so what next for Nigerians? What are we going to do? What is the next level for us? What does tomorrow hold for us? There are quite some interesting thoughts on that, and that will pick up during the next edition. Thank you so much for listening to me and for staying tuned. I do hope you have been entertained, and I also would like to finally thank our partners for Safe Culture for this wonderful piece of Posh World for this location, and of course our partners, Paul Edit Studio. Special thanks also to Shogun Ojo. Thank you so much for that. And to all you viewers, see you on the next one. I remain Anthony Lusholade. Bye.